What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim back with another review. Today, taking a look at Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. Now, this launched a few days ago on iOS and on Android. I'm not going to get too much into the nonsense that Ubisoft pulled with the intro video depicting Black Lives Matter, like the logo, and very odd move by Ubisoft, honestly. But I will say this. That is probably the most news you're going to hear about this game, because this game sucks. It just legitimately sucks. And I'm so frustrated that Ubisoft took such a established universe across all of their various franchises, Splinter Cell, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, and they took all these characters and they just kind of shit them out in a big game. And that's what this game is. So I've recorded some gameplay footage and I'm going to talk over a little bit just so you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about. So this was recorded from my iPhone a couple days ago. I don't have a whole lot of video here, but it's enough to at least convey kind of what's going on. You're going to get an assortment of heroes, some of which you may recognize, most of which you won't. There's a lot of ancillary characters in here that were third and fourth string characters from other franchises. I mean, maybe the most Ubisoft faithful will be able to kind of discern who's who, but mostly you're not going to recognize most of these people. So what you're putting together is the Elite Squad. And while that sounds cool on paper, the gameplay is so boring, you're not going to care. But just for sake of review, I wanted to go through everything. So you're going to select your characters. These are basically the first characters you get, as far as I can tell. Maybe there is some randomness. Of course, there's a store where you can buy the ones you want, but you're going to probably be stuck with guys like this. So what happens is after every mission, you're going to get some abilities through currency to upgrade your character and to upgrade their weapons and their armor. So there is this kind of RPG light system to it, where each character does have these base statistics, where they'll do damage and power, health, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? None of this really matters. All you really care about is this final score. This score is going to be added up cumulatively, and it's going to be showing you up against other enemies kind of what your score is, to show you if a mission is possible or if you need to do a little bit more grinding to level up your heroes. That's really all this is about. And after you get experience points, you just press this confirm button. You don't get to actually select any of this stuff. You just press a button and magically you'll see that all of these stats go up, and ta-da, okay, so now you've leveled up your character, their skill rating increases, and now they're a little bit more effective as a fighter. Moving on. And you basically are going to go through this for each character after every mission. Now, on top of that actual numerical score, there is also equipment, and you'll see that there are slots for different pieces of gear that you have, and these are made by crafting items or by finding them at the end of a level. Just in the same way you kind of get currency, you'll get stuff that allows you to craft. So in order to make this thing, you know what this is, you need this thing and this thing merged together, and it will increase your ability power by 5 whole points to give you an 83. So you could just throw that stuff on. If there's slots that, and as you kind of go through, you'll see you're going to level up your characters in terms of their slots as well. So when you're said and done, you're going to have a character that has a total skill level that is a combination of all of those things I just mentioned. And you're going to go through after every level and level them up. Now, I'm showing you the end first. This is the good stuff after you've beat the level. This is the excitement of you getting to see all of the great and how powerful your characters are. It's largely unrewarding because it's just numbers. You're just raising up characters' levels from... You just see some ads in there. Or pop-ups. My friends text me, whatever. Basically, you're going to see these numbers add up. And then when it's all said and done, now you have your elite squad with different ranks. And you can see you take out these numbers. And now your squad rating. That's what you have. That's what you care about. So in this next battle I'm going into, the enemy rating is 1250. My squad rating is 1809. So I should soundly win. Now, what makes combat so different from each engagement? Well, there's only actually one thing, and it's this thing right here. These are what you're known as your combat orders, and you're going to get to select from a few of them, whether it's targeted missile strikes or determining that all the characters are going to focus fire on one specific target, or putting down an energy shield that's going to defend everybody in an area, things like that. This is the only thing you actually control, and it makes this game so incredibly boring. So here you can see a list of some of the upgrades you can get, and you can upgrade them and whatever. It's really as basic as it looks. There's really not a lot of strategy there. I know the game's trying to force this idea of this strategy on top of it, but there really is no strategy, because this is how combat flows every single time. I'm going ahead and pause it here very briefly. Now what happens is your enemies will come in from the right every single time. Your hero will come in from the left every time. You'll see that some levels are more than one waved, which means you have to kind of sustain for 2 or 3 rounds to fight. And then there's an objective of how long it's going to take you to win. I have never gone over the objective on time. Usually these matches are over in a very, very short amount of time. Now, one of the other things you'll notice here is that, I didn't mean to pause it yet. You have these ability bars below your characters, which you have no control over. Your health bars above each of your characters, which you have no control over. The only thing you can control is these 2 buttons down here. That's it. So I have a missile strike, and then I have this kind of like shield buff thing. So I'm going to go ahead and press the missile strike now, and then you target where you want it to shoot. So I tapped it, and I tapped it again. And this is the only control I have of this match. The rest of this, I'm just going to go and let it play out now, is my teammates automatically shooting back. There's really nothing to it. It's just them shooting back. That's me using my healing canister on my teammates. Now I sit and watch. I do nothing. I could basically put the phone down at this point, as my teammates randomly shoot who they think is important. The only control I have, as I mentioned, is the airstrikes, which I didn't even have to use in that instance the second time. And that's it. That is the entire game. Then you get a little bit of a cutscene in between. There's a quote-unquote story that leads you into the next area. You get a long loading time, and then after it finishes loading, which I thought we would get to see it. I guess I stopped the recording then. After which it'll just dump you back into here, and you'll just reset the pattern again, and you'll start over again. And that is the entire game, and it sucks. It's so frustrating to me that Ubisoft has essentially hoarded out some of their most iconic characters into this game. I appreciate the art style. That's really about it. I don't like the idea that the characters that you would expect to be are that you want to be in the game are in there. There's really no challenges, or there's nothing to do other than to grind that. So if you wanted to go to the next level, and let's say, hey, my score was too low. The enemy score is like 8,000 and my heroes are only 5,000 cumulatively. You can go back and redo the old missions again and slowly level up experience and that sort of thing, but that's it. Now, there is a currency that you use when you deploy. It's like an energy type currency, which they give you plenty of to start with, but just like all these mobile games, you will run out. So it's going to be something that you're going to log in, do a mission, and then log out. And you're going to do this over the course of weeks. Unless you're like me, you've already uninstalled the application because it's, like I said, it's pretty much trash. But if you're into this stuff, it's there for you. I guess what I get so frustrated about in a game like this is that, there are other really cool things we can do with this franchise, with these franchises. And, we keep seeing the hype up of all these new characters. And it's cool to see Sam Fisher back. And it's cool to see all of the Rainbow Six operatives kind of get their moment in the limelight, and all of, Nomad's team from Ghost Recon. I like that. And if you look at it, and even there's some other people in here like El Sueño, which is a villain type character. He's in the game. So there's a lot of Ubisoft history here. All the Far Cry characters, all of the, it's just, there's a lot of stuff here. You have Assassin's Creed, you have Watch Dogs. Think about all the franchises that Ubisoft has a hand in. And this is what you want to do with it, is this kind of like, comic book shooter, which I would be okay with, but there's really not much to play here. This is just a numbers game. This is you just automatically winning or losing based on your numbers. Now, those abilities I showed off, the one that, heals and focus fires, there are some limited applications for it, particularly if there's a character on the enemy team that that is a medic that's constantly healing, you could use the focus fire to make sure that the medic gets killed first. But the reality is, if your numbers are significantly higher than the enemies, your teammates are going to just wildly push through. The fact that there's gear, the fact that there's other abilities that each character owns, really doesn't play much of a role because you can't control anything about them. You can't even control where they stand. You can't make sure your tank character's up towards the front. You can't position anybody on the battlefield. It's just a very, very bare bones, dry experience, and I'm really frustrated with it. So major thumbs down for me on this. Major disappointment. I think Ubisoft could have done a lot better than this, and I think this game is not worth your time. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. I think you're going to come to the same conclusion I am, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.